Hold on, Tiger. We've got someone waiting in the chat saying that they've been like a caged tiger waiting for us all day. And it's our friend Warren from Australia. And I have to do a special shout out to Warren because he gave us, guys, our first PayPal donation. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Warren, thanks ever so much. That's very cool.
Awesome. Hey guys, nice to meet you. We are streaming on
today?
YouTube, and we will be streaming in 2 seconds on the All About the Blues Facebook page.
Good morning to Kurt.
Good
morning, Kurt. How you doing? Hope you're good.
And if you guys lose me because of technical issues, I'll try and do my best not to disrupt the broadcast if I come in. So, unfortunately, we had a issue a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Just made it more exciting, though. Yeah, man. It just made it more exciting.
Yeah, man.
So we've got Luca in the chat from Italy as well. Hey, Luca.
Good morning, Luca. Oh, from Italy. Excellent. Looking forward to going back to Italy, Luca, for my guitar breaks holiday. And Ellen Forrestine. Good morning, Ellen.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. So someone's itchy. Oh, you got one too, have you?
Yes.
I tried getting my copy.
Sadly, this is just the CD. I got the album in my. Is it? See, look at that. See, I got the 25th anniversary edition.
Yeah, that's all right.
And that's 50. Now it's 50 years, Brad.
I got this one.
Yeah.
Whatever one that one is.
Well, no, it's that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
I've got 3 things to hold up. I'm only 2 hands. See, but yeah. yeah. With the remixed album with all the alternative solos in it. Yeah.
Yep. There he is. He's got it too.
Which
Spotify.
Yeah. The one words about that alternative is that I never play the alternative one. I only ever play the album. It's like I listen to the alternative one a couple of times, and you go, "Do you know what? It's not as good as the album." You see completely why they chose the solos, those things. And it's like, well, because they're better. Oh yeah.
It's nice to have the alternatives, but I still listen to the way the album is and the way I've always listened to it before I heard those remixes. So
yeah, completely. Yeah. So
epic album.
Morning, Nelson. How you doing?
Hey, everyone in the chat.
Yeah.
We've even got Jay.
Jay as well. Hey now.
Alan, how are you, Alan?
And Alan as well.
Teresa.
Excellent.
Oh my gosh, we've got a host of people hanging out because they're desperate to find out some information on Machine Head.
That obscure album from 1971, 50 years ago, guys. Only 50 years ago.
Wow. If you
think about it, we're 50 years from there, and so if you go, this game 50 years back from 1971. 1921. There you are.
Awesome.
Think about one out between 1921 and 1971. Incredible.
Awesome. Hey, if anybody is watching the replay and they haven't already done this, please do that. We would be very happy if you could hit that subscribe button. We were looking at the stats a couple of days ago, and we had 67 followers last month. So that's phenomenal growth for the channel. So that's all because of you guys out there. I'm sure, spreading the word. And on behalf of my co-hosts, I want to say thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Robot Master Switch. How you doing, lads?
No, it's quite an achievement to get to where we've got, but let's not stop there, guys. Let's keep growing. Let's get it going. Let's keep going.
Awesome.
Arvin, good morning, Arvin. Excellent. Look at that. Good morning, Brad.
So I've got to do a plug for a show I did yesterday. If you guys haven't already checked it out, go and have a look on the channel. I did an interview with a guy called Michael from New York who, amongst other things, contributed an outstanding article on Eric Clapton from a technical perspective. And if you guys haven't checked it out, it's important, not necessarily because of the content related to Clapton, but the questions that Michael asked this guy, which is really, really important. I think it's a good blueprint for Brad and Simon, for a lot of these other professional journalists, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, just an addendum to that, Andrew. The 24 Nights video is on YouTube.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, the album that they made is on YouTube. So I know you were talking yesterday about it was only on DVD or whatever, but it is actually on yes, it is actually on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube.
I actually want to go through YouTube at a later date and try and find. I've got a bunch of extra songs from those concert series, that same concert series, the 24 Night things that I captured pro shot from MTV. They showed a whole bunch of different stuff, and I've got it on VHS. I've got to try and transfer it across digitally somehow, but it's phenomenal. Yeah, there was a bunch of songs. It must have been nearly 10 more songs they played on MTV from that concert night, that series, that they didn't put on the DVD.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was a good interview. So we've been busy over the last 24 hours sharing that interview and that link on social media. And that, that's another thing, guys, that our channel's about. Our channel's about sharing people's accounts and people's social media links. And, we're only a small channel ourselves, but we'll endeavour always to do that. So if there's anything that anyone in the chat is working on, anything that they want to get put across, we've got a little bit of a presence there, so we'll help you. No problem at all. It goes both ways. We're asking for your help, but we'll help you too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. We're waiting with bated breath for Warren's video of him opening his Strat.
I can't wait. Rugby.
Rugby. We've had rugby already, but nobody watches it.
That's good to see, Warren, that your girlfriend's hooked on my song. Thank you for that. Thank her for me. Thank you so much.
That's cool.
Yeah. And again, Warren, thank you very much for the donation. It was a nice surprise, and thank you. Humbled by it. Thank you.
Hurry up with your unboxing, Warren.
Yeah, it's under the bed.
It's in his neighbour's house, or it was.
Sounds suspicious, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. I've got this thing, but it's not at home. It's at my neighbour's house. What is that thing?
Who knows?
Dear. I suppose, my friend, you have the introduction. And we're on a Monday too. So thank you guys for joining us on a Monday. Normally we would be doing this on a Sunday. So we appreciate the fact that you've locked us in and you've hit that notification button. And as soon as we've gone live, you've jumped on. So we really appreciate that. So Simon's going to give us an introduction on the album we're doing this week. And as usual, feel free to add your comments and your ranks in the track. And in between our little chit-chats, we'll get to them, I'm sure.
Are we going to do? We're going to do Rock Professor first.
Well, why
later?
not?
Let's do the rock.
We better
Come on,
wake.
let's do.
Should we wake him up?
Wake up the Rock Professor. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Some front.
The only problem is when you wake him up too early, he gets that bloody cane out and.
Pay attention, class. It's the Rock Professor here with another look at the events surrounding this week's classic album.
Oh, he wasn't that bad. He wasn't that bad this morning.
No, not too bad. Let's get louder. Nobody's ever said that to me before. Can you be louder?
Turn it up.
Speak up, Simon!
Megaphone, yes. That's the Rock Professor.
Turn it up.
Turn it up. Turn it up. Well,
I was at rehearsal the other night, and the band go, "Turn it up, Brad. I can't hear." I was like,
"Turn it up." No, you're the first person in the history of creation where somebody's asked a guitarist to turn up. Nobody else has ever said that ever. That's why, Brad. I've got a PV Delta Blues, a little 30-watt combo, and before that I had a high watt 100-watt, right? 4 12 cams. Hopeless in a pub. I'm just you couldn't, it's like it's micro tuning around between 0 and 1 to get something that. So I sold it, and I said to the band at the time, I will buy a bigger amp the day somebody comes up and says, "Can you turn up?" Nobody ever has. So I'm stuck with my PV Delta Blues, which is brilliant, and I can still only play on about 3.5.
It's still pretty loud, those little PV. They're the classic ones, aren't they? With the tweed. Tweed. Yeah, they're pretty loud.
Yeah. God, yeah. Always loud. As I say, normally a gig volume is about 3.5, 4, maybe. It's not 7. Nowhere near it, sadly. Yeah. But I've got an old American one as well, so not the later. I've got I don't know, 20 more than 20 years old. A long time. Yeah, it fizzes and pops.
What do you got for us, Professor?
So, on this day, 1972. Here we are. Key dates in 1972. One of my things, Led Zeppelin's concert in Singapore is cancelled when government officials will not let them off the plane because of their long hair. Welcome to 1971, kids. This is Singapore, by the way, but yeah. Led Zeppelin not allowed off the plane due to their long hair. And I mean, we've done this before, so I won't go through it. But Pink Floyd debut "Dark Side of the Moon" at the Dome in Brighton, and amazingly, a year before they actually release it, they amazingly they do that. So there we are. And as we said the other couple of weeks ago, David Bowie opens his Ziggy Stardust tour at the Toby Jug pub, Tolworth in Surrey. There we are. Auspicious.
Hey, Deja Voodoo. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Deja Voodoo. Yes,
that's Blackmore is definitely one of my heroes. Massively one of my heroes.
Yeah,
heroes.
Yeah,
without doubt.
Well, he's an amazing bloke, isn't he?
Eccentric is the word.
Eccentric is the word. Eccentric, absolutely. Yeah.
But what a player.
Weirdo.
That's a bit harsh, Andrew. Imagine if he tunes in and watches this, mate. Come on.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with being a weirdo. And I mean that affectionately. And certainly he's got. Have you guys seen his lockdown videos that he does with his wife? And he's sitting there, and he's got big pints of beer, and he's half pissed.
Well, he cut him some slack, mate. He's 70 odd. He's 70.
Yeah.
In his baronial home.
Yeah.
He's 70. He's enjoying it.
In Long Island or somewhere, isn't he? That's where he's lived, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
Yeah. Actually, I have seen one or two of those, yeah, and they are funny with his lute.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah, it was really interesting, that show yesterday. Michael Else. Has he got Michael Else?
I've got some good news for you guys. I might as well tell you now. So he's going to join us in a couple of weeks' time when we talk about Dark Side of the Moon, because he's been to the Christie's. He's been to the Christie's auction, and he's seen those guitars, and he said, "I've got something else to tell you, but I'll tell you guys live." So he's going to join us for a little bit when we go through. So one of us is going to have to nominate Dark Side of the Moon. And I told him, this guy over here, that guy over there.
Me, yes, me.
Yeah. Used to sit with his headphones under the English Still Quiet Night, listening to the album without drug stimulants, and just being blown away by the capacity of the music to move you.
Yeah. And my other claim to fame, I fell into Nick Mason's parents' swimming pool. And if that's not tenuous, I don't know what is. Saltwater swimming pool. I went and stood on the diving board, and it was like under these rollers, and it rolled forward, and it and me went straight into the water, and I couldn't swim.
Awesome. Grab a beer, mate, if you want. Grab a beer. We're going to be here for a little while. Someone's going to give us the intro on the album.
Well, yes, 5:54 a.m. Time for a beer.
It's 4 o'clock over where he is in the afternoon, so it's certainly, and it's Australian, so any time after 11 o'clock.
Oh, good morning, Teresa. Maria D'Souza. They got locked down for 8 days. Bad luck. Well, stay safe. I hope it's all right. What Nelson Rick? What Nick Mason's mom's pool? That's Nick Mason, Nelson, from the Pink Floyd, the Styx Man. His father was called Bill Mason, and he was a filmmaker. I think at Shell.
Oh, he wasn't a stonemason.
He wasn't a stonemason, no. I have an ancestor who was a stonemason, Andrew. I have a famous Welsh ancestor who was a stonemason. But let's not go and get into that. It's just if I go some places and announce it, I could be celebrity land. It's hilarious. Not that I don't ever, but I have been to things where that's. But anyway, it's yes. It's not as good as Nick Mason's parents' swimming pool, but yes, Bill Mason was a filmmaker for Shell, and so my dad, being a composer, had done work. See, in the days, Brad, when oil companies had their own film units, they would go out and film themselves making Alaska pipelines and stuff. Now, not good now, but then, yeah. So yeah, in this, the 50s and 60s, it was all about sort of exploration and in Antarctica or something. So my dad did films for Shell, BP, I think Bill Mason there. But he had a Bentley, supercharged Bentley that we went in. I'm sure Nick Mason's got it now. I'm sure he wouldn't have sold it, but the classic, with the 4 out wheels, supercharged engine and stuff. Yes, I fell into a swimming pool, which is about as tenuous as you can get. Could have been about 1971 as well. How's that for a link? Which is where we are. So, Deep Purple, great British rock band, formed in 1968, and clearly had several lineups. We're concentrating on Mark II, which is Ian Gillan, Roger Glover, Ian Pace, Richie Blackmore, and John Lord. The See, like everything else, you have to have what's the best version of. This is the best version of Deep Purple. The same as the Rolling Stones. The best version of the Rolling Stones is the one with Mick Taylor in it. And everybody knows that. We've done the workings out, done all the maths, and that's the answer. So, just to be slightly contentious.
And the best version of Van Halen is the one with Sammy Hagar in it.
See, I wasn't going anywhere near that. That's very dangerous. Oh dear, that's putting your foot into the shark-infested waters, Mr. Walton, isn't it? Oh dear. Can you not like them all equally?
Oh well. Got to have a little bit of controversy on a show every now and again, Simon. That's the only controversy they're going to get from us today. And maybe a couple of 2s or 3s out of 10s, maybe.
Look at that, yes. Oh, dear. Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, clearly they recorded their first album in '68. Their second album is called Book of Taliesin, which I only mention this because my second name is Taliesin, so I have an album named after me. I don't spell mine with a Y. I spell it with an I. But yeah, Book of Taliesin. That's clearly named after me. But we're moving through to 1971, where they'd and to the classic Machine Head album, which I think is their sixth album. This one here, in case we're wondering, it's and probably their breakthrough album in terms of certainly, making them into a classic rock band. I think they'd had Burn and they'd had before that, and hadn't quite taken off in the same way. Although they were doing fine in America, they toured in America and doing well. And this album, this tour, I went to see them. I looked to find out exactly when it was. I went to see them in the Colston Hall in Bristol in the 16th of September 1972, which would have been one of my earliest gigs. As I've said on this channel before, my first gig was Gary Glitter. My second gig was Black Sabbath. I think on the volume, volume 4 tour. But so this must have been one of the early ones. I did also see the Coverdale and Hughes version as well in '74, I think. But so holds special place in my heart. Of course, clearly I'm 14 in 1972, so this album is just sort of one of these soundtracks to my life, really. This and Made in Japan as well was big in my circle of friends. Yeah, every party you went to, everything like that. These albums were always on. It's definitely one of the played albums. So they'd had Deep Purple in rock and Fireball, but they had felt that they wanted to get. This is such a familiar thing, isn't it? That their live sound didn't compare to their studio recordings. So they just trying to work out how to do that, which I think lots and lots. Didn't everybody go through that as a band? Seemingly they do. So they decided they would try and do something about it. So they decided that they were advised that they should record outside the United Kingdom, as they would not have to pay so much income tax. I think income tax, the sort of top breakup, was 98%. So you paid tax on 98% of your earnings, which is quite a lot. I can't remember what the amount is. It'll be over a certain amount, but paid most of it in tax. So they decided to look around and see where they could go, and they settled upon recording at the Montreux Casino in Switzerland during December, because the casino was a really large area, lots of hotel entertainment sections and stuff, but it was closed for refurbishment, which is why they could use it as a studio. They could use one of the bits of it as a studio, and so they convened in December 1971 and they booked the Rolling Stones mobile studio to go with them, make hotel reservations. So when they performed there in '71, the year before, and they befriended Claude, the great named Claude Nobbs, founder and general manager of the Montreux Jazz Festival. So clearly other people who played there as well. So they arrived on the 3rd of December. After a final concert, they would have the location to themselves. The final concert being the fabled Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, the one where it burnt down. Which caused them some troubles because they'd only been there about 24 hours. There we are, let's see. The Montreux, yes, well and truly a light. That is well and truly a light. Fantastic picture of, yes, apparently they were sitting in a bar about a quarter of a mile from the casino, and whilst it was blazing, the wind was coming off the mountains and taking the smoke and flames across the lake. So basically, they arrived 24 hours earlier, and they were clearly invited to go and see Frank Zappa. So they went to see them, and during the show, a member of the audience fired a flare into the building's roof, which not a brilliant thing to do, especially as it was a false bamboo ceiling. So nobody noticed until about an hour into the set, and then there was one of those classic kind of fire, you know, smoke and stuff. So they clearly had to stop playing, and apparently Frank Zappa said that no one should panic, but fire. So clearly, but fortunately, they got everyone out. No fatalities, or only one fatality: Frank Zappa's kit, which got burnt. So, but that left Purple with a bit of a problem. They had nowhere to record. So Nobbs, you know, in the midst of all his mayhem, he relocated them to the Pavilion, which is a nearby theatre where they recorded the basic tracks for a song provisionally named Title Number 1, which clearly turned out to be Smoke on the Water and stuff. But the Pavilion proved to be an impractical location because all the residents phoned up and complained about the noise. So nothing's changed, does it? You know, turn that bloody guitar down. Except in Brad's case, where they asked him to turn it up. He's the only one in the history of rock where they asked to turn up. Oh dear. So they had a look around for some other locations, and eventually settled upon the empty Grand Hotel near de Montreux. So I think their issue was that they had to be able to. There we are, outside the Grand Hotel. They had to be able to have enough room to set up the gear, a parking space for the Rolling Stones mobile studio, and stuff clearly proved quite difficult to deal with. Lots of stuff, but I know they kind of set up in a corridor in the of the main lobby and installed equipment and mattresses to get the, you know, to deaden the sound down and stuff, which meant they had to, when they had to go and listen to something, and this will pertain to what we get. There they are, look, Ian Pace in the corridor. That they couldn't get out through where they come through, so they had to go through bedrooms and across balconies to get to the recording van. So after you've recorded something, you have to then climb out and go round to go and listen to something. And there's a quote from Richie Blackmore saying, "We didn't want to do this too much, so providing it was all right, we just went with it," which is cool. Actually, I think that's you know, in keeping with lots of lots of albums from this time. It was recorded pretty quickly, you know, a couple of weeks, knock it out, and you know, and I don't think that that includes writing songs with it as well. You know, I don't think they hadn't got too many of the songs written before they started. So it's you know, they were there, they jammed some stuff out, and bingo, we have a classic album. Only 7 tracks on the original album. I don't know, guys, whether I've included When a Blind Man Cries on the list on my songs. It doesn't matter if you haven't. It's I mean, I figure it's kind of. I know it was a B-side to Smoke on the Water, but it seemed to be part of the album, so I included it in mine. Look at that. So yeah, there we are. Thank you, Brad. In the Corridors. Just amazing, isn't it? That sort of what you can do with just to set up. Yeah, quite literally deja vu. So I think that when it's released, it was a huge success, positive reviews, and it charted high in both number 4 in the US, and interestingly though, the single Never Before never really did anything in the UK. They weren't really known as a singles band. Purple, Never Before, never really hit it in the big time in the UK, which is interesting. Well, like earlier, they had Black Knight, didn't they? That was probably their biggest hit, and Hush as well, cover version, and Hush. So so here we are in the snows of Geneva, and and off we go.
Awesome. What about you, Brad? When was the first time that you became aware of this album? Do you want to share that with us? That would be interesting.
Yeah, well, for me, obviously, I'd heard Smoke on the Water on the radio on the classic rock stations in Sydney where I lived at the time. It was obviously on high rotation, that song and Black Knight from previous albums. And then again, one of my good mates, his brother was like I said on the Bowie show, a bit of a record nut. And we used to sit and listen to this from start to finish and literally just in awe. And, for me, it was, I just couldn't get over the fact, and I'll go into it when we get into the songs and dive deep into the songs, but I couldn't get over how well the guitar tone sounded, the playing, the interaction and the interweaving between the organ and the guitars, the bass and the drums, and the stellar vocals, just like all that, I love her, I need her, like that stuff, just unbelievable. And then when I first got my driver's license, driving along, listening to listening to this album, I reckon I nearly lost my license that many times because it just starts speeding by accident, and you start looking at your speedo and you're doing like 120, 130 kilometers in 100K zone. You're like, whoa, better slow down. So, yeah, it was that for me, this album is, I was listening to this before I was even playing guitar. So, it was one of the albums that was pivotal for me as a guitarist, and then listening to the prior albums and the albums after. And I don't really have a favorite era, but I love the Coverdale Glenn Hughes era as well because I love Coverdale's voice.
Yep.
Love White Snake. But I love the Burn album and Stormbringer as well. Those 3 albums with Machine Head and Fireball, they're just on rotation for me all the time. I bought the CD. I've bought 3 copies of this now on CD. This is my 3rd copy. And, because it had bonus tracks and all that sort of jazz. So, but for me, that nothing beats Richie Blackmore as a guitarist. Like, he was very eccentric. It came through in his playing, his style, his feel on the guitar. There was some amazing guitarists around the time. But for me, they were what I would call one of the very first supergroups, like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath. They were like supergroups to me. They epitomized like supergroup era. And yeah, Andrew, I mean, I'll pass it over to you, but that's pretty much it for me. It was just the Deep Purple. I still listen to them all the time, like weekly.
Can I just pick up on one thing? Robot Master Switch says such a killer band name to boot. Always been jealous of how cool Deep Purple sounds. when they called themselves Deep Purple was Richie Blackmore's idea because it was his grandmother's favourite song. The other name in the frame was Concrete God. Ladies and gentlemen, Concrete God. It's not quite the same thing, is it?
Yeah, I discovered Deep Purple around the same time I discovered Van Halen. So this is a shout out to a guy called Shane Reddy, who was a guy that I was hanging out with at school. He was on the periphery actually, but I remember it was I don't know, must have been Mufti Day or something like this. And he came to school and he had this Deep Purple T-shirt on, and I went up to him and said, "Wow, Deep Purple, what is it, And had a cassette tape and a player, and played this album. The first two songs at least, and it was pivotal. And what was really interesting about the sound that I was listening to, it was. And I use this word a lot when we talk about albums, but it was a little bit more sophisticated than the music that I was listening to. I remember thinking this is something else. And then obviously, like a lot of us, you get some money and you go and buy some of the albums and all that, and you get into it heavily. And then when your guitar becomes a big part of your life, then you have a debate whether or not is it Van Halen, are you a Ted Nugent nut, or is it, is it this guy, Richie Blackmore? I loved all those conversations. And in fact, I was talking to my brother about doing this show because he was a big Deep Purple nut. And he was the one that made me listen to Fireball and In Rock. Completely, in the early 1990s, where I'd only listened to bits of the album. But this album was one that I'd listened to right from the word go. And I just want to do one little quick shout out before I hand it on to Simon. The research for this album was fantastic, and I take my hat off to Deep Purple and its management, because there's a lot of documentaries, there's a lot of clips on YouTube where they talk freely and openly about, their history and the bands. And it was just phenomenal. I think there's about half a dozen documentaries on YouTube. So, top marks to Deep Purple's management for having that available.
And they're one of the classic album things, aren't they? I'll just point out, guys, we're all using this, which is the 25th anniversary edition that came out in 1996, 25 years ago. It's now 50 years since this came out, and as you know, I like to play the game of 50 years after and then 50 years before. 50 years before is 1921. There you are. Think about that as the distance between now and then. Which is I like that.
Exactly it.
Well, I think it's really interesting that it puts it in some kind of historical perspective, doesn't it? As a thing. So I'm just having a bit of an accident here. Yeah. Oh, I've got a bit of spillage. That'll teach me not to concentrate. Just give me a sec, guys. But yeah, there we are. Okay. Is it rolling, Bob? Right. So. Track number 1, the mighty Highway Star. I think one of the great opening tracks in rock. Absolutely, that ding 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 ding, that pulsing intro with guitar, organ, and bass. Just one note, one chord, and builds up, and and then the drums come in. And then you get that kind of going into this. I mean, I have a visceral thrill every time I hear that. Now we're playing it yesterday. And it's like it's still the thrill of that kind of tension. And then Ian Gillan comes in with the scream. It's a kind of release for that tension, and they actually get into the song. It's just, for me, tremendous visceral thrill. I get chills every time I hear it played. It's just it's such a magnificent opening to a record. I can't think of anything better. different, but not better. And and then you've got a great bass playing. I think Roger Glover is a great bass player. I think they're on top of their game here. I think Ian Pace is a fantastic drummer. Got his own style, and and they driving on. You've got middle eight, chugging guitar and organ solos, and it's interesting. I don't know if you guys did. I listened to some of the isolated guitar tracks. I don't know if you did that. Did you listen to those? And what Blackmore plays on these things, so these little kind of triads and these little kind of 3-note things. Don't play chords, don't play chunky plays these dee 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 things like it's very intricate and much more interesting than you hear on the record. I think. I think the other thing I'd say about it is that it is introduced the classic. It's talked about a lot as being a sort of proto heavy metal band and stuff. I kind of, when you listen to the guitars they're not that heavily driven. It's actually the organ that's the heavy bit. John Lord with his organ through his Marshall stacks, which was called the Beast, because it gave it that tremendously overdriven sound. And actually, the sound is the organ and the guitar together, playing together. And they play together a lot, don't they? They play the same lines a lot and things. And it's for me, that's really interesting. I think it fills out the sound in a big way, makes it really big in a way that just a single guitar player is not going to do. It has a great, fantastic solo. I love the solos. There's a double track solo, plays sort of harmony thing to it, which is fantastic. And with a bit of whammy bar at the end, trademark Blackmore whammy bar. I think that it's a great song, and I think that it's apparently the band's management arranged for them to travel to see a group of music journalists. One of the journalists asked Blackmore how he wrote songs, which he said like this: picks up his guitar and plays Highway Star's opening riff. Fantastic. Just this is how you do it, guys. So for me, one of the great openings to a great rock album. I'm giving it a Brad score, 20 out of 10. Gets me every time. I love the solos. I love the way it's played together. I love their intermeshing as a band. I think all the guys played brilliantly on it as well. I have nothing bad to say about it.
Brad.
Excellent. Well, Highway Star for me, I'll never forget the first time I heard this song. It's like one of those defining moments in rock for me. It was like hearing it, just going, what am I listening to? It was there was so much color and texture there. But I'll give you my ranking on the track. Guys, give us your rankings as well. We want to see what you think about this and tell us what you think, whether we're on track or not. So for me, it's an amazing opening track. It has to be probably one of the greatest opening tracks for a rock record in history, I think. The way the song starts, it's epic. The guitar tone, the bass drums and the organ, all amazing. Ian Gillan, the way he sings, he just kills it vocally. His range is amazing, and he showcases it all the time, but tastefully showcases his voice. I do think, lyrically, this is a great song too. Like, it gets you going. It's a song about, nobody's gonna take my. It's a song about a car. He's writing about his car, but it's you can relate it to a woman as well. So
I thought it was a girl. Oh.
It is, yeah. Yep.
That's the trouble with you, Mr. Walton. You're one track mind.
But the band are absolutely crushing it from the word go. I think it's just amazing. The big open ring out chords, the just it's just amazing. The first solo comes in as John Lord just like building it up. He does that really big build up on the Hammond. It's just phenomenal. I mean, you've never really heard anyone before him or since that plays a Hammond like John Lord. He's distinctively John Lord. You can tell it's him. there's another chorus, and then Richie Blackmore comes in with some really tasty guitar playing. And if you have a good listen, it's double tracked. The guitars are double tracked, and they're playing harmonies in sections as well. The solo is structured. It's absolutely brilliant. Richie Blackmore absolutely crushes it on this record. This song in particular. This song highlights the amazing interplay between John Lord and Richie Blackmore, which I mentioned at the start. I love the rock ending. I don't know what else to say about this track, but I gave it like 20 out of 10. It's epic.
Brad score.
Honestly, I don't think you could start an album for a rock band like this any better. Andrew.
It's one of my favourite Deep Purple songs. I have to agree with you, and I've just had a crack at Warren here about reading my notes. For me, the song is always about that organ. When you're a young guy hearing the organ and rock and roll, and your ears aren't completely foreign to hearing the organ because you've listened to the Doors and the Animals over the years on the radio, so it's at home. But the way though that this guy in the band at that time was playing this organ was just and probably hasn't been matched. It's just phenomenal. And then obviously Gillan, because I just love his voice. And while we were having discussions and debates about who the best guitarist was, and we still continue now in my old age having these debates and discussions, the debate and discussion with me and my friends was who was the best vocalist. Was it Robert Plant or Gillan? And Gillan's no Robert Plant. He's standing there. He's got that microphone, that mic stand, and he's leaning into it. He's not wearing a woman's blouse and going like this. Is it? Yeah.
What are you suggesting, Andrew?
Well, it's just he's just completely different. And I just I just love him.
But no less of a singer. No less of a singer.
No. I'm just pointing. There is these little differences. Gillan's. Yeah. And I like that, and I do. I think that's one of the differences that visual difference comes across in their vocals too. You got Gillan, and when he hits those high notes, though, he's not high like Plant. I'm sure there's a technical term for it, but I love it, and it's a 20 out of 10. It's one of my favourite Deep Purple. Could even be my favoritist.
Favoritist.
Never a skip.
Yeah, I dare you. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's right. It is. It is. And we're right to pick out all those elements. I think you're right that John Lord. Nobody played. The sort of B3 thing and all of that was Booker T and the MGs or something like that. This is a world away from from that as a sound and as a way of playing as well. I think it's and clearly they got to that point where that intermeshing with the guitar and the organ was one of their key sound ingredients stuff. So it's so really most excellent. Good. Okay. So song number 2, Maybe I'm a Leo. Ian Gillan's a Leo, so went under the working title of Just One Just Before Midnight. The Finnish title and lyrics refer to Gillan's birth site. There we are, see? And Gillan wrote the song's main riff after listening to John Lennon's How Do You Sleep? And he enjoyed the riff not starting on the first beat of the bar. So the song was played live at the BBC in concert performance. And Joe Satriani played it when he was in Purple temporarily. But it's the first one. I mean, I think for me, it's a great swinging blues rock riff. I mean, I love that riff. I think it's a really great sort of blues riff. It's got fantastic swinging drums to it. I think Ian Pace is a great drummer and great organ emphasis, these little stabs that John Lord does. Gillan's doing harmonies with himself. I think it's him. Pretty sure it's him. And the solo, the whammy bar. Richie Blackmore's wow at the end of things. But the key thing for me is how melodic he is. He's a melodic player, Richie Blackmore. I can whistle those. I can hum those solos. When I think, that classic thing of can you sing the solo kind of thing. Oh yes, I think it passes the test of that, and is virtuoso, but also melodic and because great. I think there's it has the organ solo as well, which I think is really good. Really great piece of John Lord groove playing, and it's a great turnaround out of the singing as well. Back into another solo at the end. So, as I say, this again, I'm giving this a 10. I love this track. I would never skip it. It's just got that swing. It's got that groove. That kind of it really, really. And when a band, I'll say it again, like I've said it lots of times, but that thing about a band playing together, where the drummer sets the tempo and it has a swing and it has a kind of thing to it that I Warren, be still, oh my beating heart. I skip, my God. No, I can't. I think it's just a great record. I love it, and I love that swing and that groove, and I wouldn't ever skip it for that. I think it's I tap my foot and I groove about to it. Absolutely. Get my guitar, play the riff. I say no more than that. If that's not a recommendation, I don't know what is.
You still gave it 8 out of 10, so it's not a timeout, Warren. You're still in the chat, okay? But next time, So well, for me, maybe I'm a Leo. I love the sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. I love the sleazy riff. Great vocals and the great guitar solo. Richie honestly playing like the lead line for the song. The organ solo in this is the highlight for me. He puts a slight funk element to the sound. He just, I don't know. He obviously had a lot of funk and soul in his background as well as the rock element. Great feel from Ian Pace. Great song to jam along to on guitar if you've got your guitar in your hand, in my opinion. You can sit there and play along with it, and you can, get drift off to playing a little bit of lead stuff and then back onto it. It's very cool. The outro solo, for me, it's highlighting his tasty licks, like Richie Blackmore's tasty licks. He's a guy with a lot of swagger and class with his playing. It fades out, and I'm wishing it wouldn't end. So, I gave it a 10 out of 10.
As I say, I agree with you. That swing and that feel is something, that is a rarer commodity than we think, I think. You don't really hear it these days.
Well, they talk about germs, catching germs and, off things. I think Deep Purple caught the swing germs out of that Rolling Stones mobile recording unit because the Rolling Stones epitomise, a good rock and guitar swing element, and this song has that, and there's it's one of the reasons why this channel is called the British Electric Blues Show, because we just love the way that these British guys can do it, and I just think it's a wonderful example of a tight rhythm section. And in Simon and Brad, you're right, and that melody and that whammy that plays over it, it's it's a deep cut, in my opinion. I think it's a deep cut, but it's a 10 out of 10, and it's certainly never It's never a skip, and it just fits in nicely with that opening track, doesn't it? You know, it's just good.
Good tick. Yeah. It's a great track, and that's that. It is, Teresa. You're right, and Warren's too scared to comment now in case we ban him. We love you, Warren. Don't do that.
No. We just want you to be honest, brother. That's all.
Yeah. We're just making fun of you, Warren. It's okay. You can tell us the truth. If you hate it, you can we will time you out, but you can still tell us.
He's feeling ashamed as well. Don't feel ashamed. It's fine. 8 out of 10 is a perfectly good score. Okay. Third track, Pictures of Home. Basically, obviously, clearly written there as it describes the sight and images of the local area around Montreux, far away from home. That kind of picture, you know. I mean, it also pertains to being on tour, I guess, as well, but and stuff. But interesting, I didn't know that. I couldn't remember. They said that the track wasn't recorded with the drum introduction. It was left off the original recording, but they put it back on for this for the 25th anniversary. So great intro. And that fantastic, another fantastic riff, you know, that comes in. Da 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 da. That's just, you know, that's a brilliant riff, you know. It's melodic, and you know, does great harmonic thing that I love in it. You know, I only recently learned to play. I just suddenly out of the blue played it like that, da 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 da, which is just a pentatonic thing. I just one day just played it on my, you know, the right speed and the right sort of emphasis. And I thought, I know what that is. Wait a minute. Sadly, I didn't invent it. Damn. But another fantastic riff from Blackmore. I love the fact it's double tracked. I think the the organ and the guitar interplay in the verse under Ian Gillan, you know, great singing vocal from him. Again, the double track riff and verse 2 with the harmonies as well. I think it's all Gillan does the harmony singing. Another melodic solo, you know, da, 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 you know, that with a whammy bar ending. I notice. But Blackmore is so enamoured of. I mean, he doesn't do it all the time, but he does. You know, you hear it, and it is a kind of signature for him, isn't it? I think, you know, that if there's anybody, he has a clear sound of his own, doesn't he, and a way of playing that is him, and not anybody else. And whatever else you could say about him, you know, if you could say that about a guitar player, that they have something unique about their playing, and you can pick them out in a crowd, I think that's, you know, that's I mean, that's a 10 out of 10 for starters, isn't it? As a, you know, I mean, I think that having that as well. I like the fact that you know, there's an organ solo, there's a bass solo. Get them all in 5 minutes. Team, it's packs a lot in. Again, like lots of these songs, you know, they don't, you know, they pack a lot in. You know, make it interesting to listen to. I love the false ending, and then back in with that another guitar solo over the organ and bass. It's, you know, again, I mean, I struggle with this, not giving it a 10, to be honest. I'm going to give it a 10 because I would never skip it. It's just, you know, just that flow and the way that the song is put together. You know, I think it's great. I love it, and I put it on. You know, as I said, I've played it a lot over the last week. I play it regularly, but you know, and I've never skipped the tracks, and I just feel like it absolutely nails it. You know, the whole album is, you know, that's why it's a classic album. That's why it's on classic albums things, you know, because yeah. So I'm afraid I'm giving it. It's very boring. But I love this song, and I'm giving it a 10 because I obviously think it's got that groove and that, you know, again.
Well, Pictures of Home for me. I love the drum intro. Bass and drums are really tight. Great vocal harmonies. Double track vocals from Ian Gillan. The band are really locked into a groove. It's like relentless. If you really sort of you can get lost in it. They're just going along. The band are really on fire. Amazing guitar solo. Richie, he's just such an amazing player, and everything he does is tasty licks. He absolutely crushes it again on this song. John Lord is amazing on his solo. The breakdown's awesome, and the Rickenbacker bass, it really stands out and obviously the outro guitar solo as well. Hate that it fades out. And of course, I have to give it a 10 out of 10. Andrew.
It's not just me.
Yeah, look, I've given it a 9 out of 10. It's a solid song. The bass, certainly. I just have an ear for the bass, and I think that a song in a rock band that has a great bass aspect to them is going to probably, set them apart from everybody else, isn't it? And, Brad showed earlier when Simon was given the introduction that the way that these guys had it recorded, in hallways and hotel suites and on fire escapes. It's just, again, a credit to that, rock and roll mentality that they had. The music's got to come out, man. There was this business attitude too. They only had 2 weeks. They had to do it, of course, but, they worked well under pressure. And this is the feeling that I get from this album. It's like something that's, going to pop. Love the song, love the bass, and again, Gillan, oh gosh. But 9 out of 10, guys. 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. There's no skips on this album.
No. For me neither. I think it's a product of being 14 in 1972 and having it, and as part of your DNA from 1972. Really, and it's one of those funny things, isn't it? That when you listen to something on vinyl, it's quite difficult to skip things. It's not just a flick of a button or whatever. Press the the arrow and it goes on to the next one. You've got to get up, move the arm and all that kind of gear. So tend not to do it. You just listen to the the album from beginning to end. Really, so I think again it's a different way of listening to things than we do now on our devices. But, so anyway, last track on side one, Never Before. Well, again, it was considered by the band to be the most commercial track on the album. It was released as a single, as we said, didn't do hugely well over here. Got to 35, I think. But again, it's got that kind of funky feel to it, that kind of funky groove feel, funky drum intro, great funky organ, and da 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 da. That's just. I'll go back to it. I'll say it again. That live back, they're clearly playing, together. That live feel that you get, you've got a great drummer, Ian Pace, definitely a great drummer, and you've got that, they got that kind of feel and that groove and that funky thing that going on that really gives a song impetus. It gives it swing. It gives it a thing that, a melodic kind of structure. Brilliant. I think that it's. You could tell I hanker after 1971. Oh dear, but I would say that there is nobody does music like this anymore. I don't know. I can't. I'm not that close to it, but I don't know of any bands. I've not heard of any rock bands where they play like this, where they do this sort of thing. Brad, you might better say differently, but closer to the. It's. I think that that the swing, particularly the singing. Again, Ian Gillan is. We'll say it again. Great singing. Great. Love the melodic middle eight with the big organ chords and stuff. That's really cool. And the trademark guitar solo from Blackmore's quite rock and roll guitar solo, and an organ solo to end. So This is a 10 out of 10, and I would never skip it. Again, I just think it's got that. I love songs which have that melodic groove and that swing that draws me in, makes me feel good.
Brad, have you been sharing show insider plans with people in the chat? Look what Deja Vu's put there in the chat.
New segment on by hook or by crook.
You
haven't thought of that, have you?
Yeah.
I didn't say a word.
I'm sure you. Before you jumped on, he's got something. Mate, you're sharing insider secrets with the show.
I'm not. I swear it. They know us so well, Andrew. These people, they know us so well.
So Simon, he's got.
Has he got something going on? I don't know this. You see? Oh, well done, guys.
So show us your guitar.
Now? Let's do it now.
Do you want to wait till we get to the right song, or?
All right, we'll wait till. Okay, all right, okay, we'll wait.
I like. Could I say by hook or by crook? That's what I call deja vu. Do you work in advertising? That's a brilliant. By hook or by hook, Brad's Guide to Stealing the Greatest Guitar Licks of All Time.
Look, there's a big headstock Strat there, so that's a hint. Yeah.
I've got a big headstock Strat.
All right. Well, we're not telling Brad anything else from now on.
You mean there's only 3 of us, or one of us has leaked it?
Oh goodness.
See.
Oh gosh, good spotting, Deja Vu.
We couldn't even have a conspiracy here between the 3 of us. See, something already leaked out.
I think it's because I'm trying to get my. If you look at my amp, see it's on standby, so the red light's on. That's why.
Beady eyes.
Yeah.
Deja vu, well spotted. Well done. That's magnificent. Okay,
well,
by hook or by crook.
You dug yourself out of that hole, you know. All right, Brad.
I didn't say a word. Anyway, where are we? I've lost track of where we are now.
Last song, side 1.
Never before. Okay.
Never before, yeah.
I'll dive straight into it, guys. I love the funky feel in the intro. You know, it's got that real funky element to the intro. Very melodic song. Great vocals in this one. Love Ian's voice and how he harmonizes himself. The riff's very catchy. The middle bridge is like a segue to the solos, in my opinion. I've never really saw it as a bridge section of a song. It's like segueing into the solos, which I love that. Richie's guitar solo, what can I say? It's all class, and it just highlights his signature licks, in my opinion. Very hard to emulate Richie Blackmore, very hard to play his licks the way he did them. You know, John Lord's solo, again, is John Lord class. What can I say? Great ending as well. And just, you know, on a personal note, I've actually played this song in a band as a cover when I toured around Western Australia. And it always went down really well. It was we didn't have an organ in the band, which was disappointing, obviously, but we just did it guitar, bass, and drums. And the riff alone just got people moving. So I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. And the only reason I didn't give it 10 is because I kind of feel like I'm just repeating myself 10. And this is one of the songs on it that, you know, I just feel like it's not quite a 10, but it's just almost there. So 9.5 out of 10. Andrew.
9.2.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Guys, I've given it an 8 out of 10. Look, it's a solid song, and I'm not going to discount anything that Simon and Brad have said about the song. You know, it's just a signature song, isn't it? You know, it's indicative of all the songs on the album. You know, the interplay between the keyboards, it's just phenomenal. The singing by Gillen's, you know, a little bit different, but you know, again has that page ability of being able to change the voice in in songs. It's phenomenal. Again, interesting that you should say that you played it live. There's a band in Hamilton called 848, and they've got a Hammond organ. And 848 have been playing in Hamilton for 20 years, and they grew up playing this album. And yeah, you know, when you're half boozed, I don't booze anymore, but back in the olden days, when you're half when you're half boozed and you're somewhere and, you know, a band like this is playing something, it's just, phenomenal. I agree with you, Brad. It's just great. But I can't give it a 10, so I'm going to give it an 8 because there's something else to follow. Solid opener though for a side one track, and I think Simon mentioned that in his discussion on the song. You know, we've got to remember how they place these songs on albums too, because that's a key thing that sometimes we lose sight of. And again, Simon, thank you for bringing that up, because you know it's a side one ender, which is I suppose that just probably sums it up. It's a side one ender.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's as I say, my trouble is a lot of these. You know, if you choose your own albums, you're locked into them, aren't you? You know, it's all very well choosing Aqualung, but you know, it's like I slightly biased. You know, as the first record I ever bought. It's like there's not going to be a 6, is there? This is, you know, this is kind of the same thing. You know, it's kind of, I'm afraid, it's sort of in my DNA of my rock upbringing, and it's, you know, I completely love it. So anyway, and after a smooth landing on side 2, we have I like Deja Vu's Richie Leaks. That's excellent. Deja Vu, you have a career in comedy for sure. Fantastic. So we get to the. I'll wait for Brad to come back. It's lovely.
Bradley Leaks.
I do think that's funny. Deja Vu can look into our minds, see all the rubbish that's in there.
Yeah, I reckon he spilled the beans, mate. He's on some forum somewhere, and he said, "This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna plug my amp in, and I'm gonna play some licks on how to play a Richie Blackmore lick, and why it's so Richie Blackmore." I can't play Richie Blackmore. I can't play it. Look, I can stick my hand up and say that I can play some Clapton licks. I can play Open G, some Keith Richards stuff. I can play some Mick Taylor stuff, you know. But I can't get a Blackmore vibe going.
No. Sorry, guys. I had to get myself a drink of water.
That's right.
No.
Yes. How could you?
Well, you were talking, so I thought I'm going to take the opportunity to get one because I'm dying. Because I raced here from work, guys. I raced here from work, and I'm basically just sat myself. I didn't get time to get prepared this time. So.
Oh, what you do for the show? Oh,
what we do for you guys.
Yeah. What we do for the show. Anyway, on smooth landing on side 2, we have the classic rock song. You know, none more classic, I would say. Clearly, Smoke on the Water has gone down in the annals of rock history as, you know, one of the great riffs of rock. You know, banned from every guitar shop from Land's End to John O'Groats. You know, get fined. There used to be, you know, there were shops where you could get fined for playing it. It was so ubiquitous, and I think in those days most people probably played it wrong as well. But it's Brad, are you going to show us how to play it right?
I can show you how to play this one, but I was going to do something else. But it's really just,
well, it's that two thing, the two thing, wasn't it? It's yeah.
He actually plays it with like his fingers.
Lift your neck up a bit.
Hang on.
Oh, he's gonna play. First riff. Did you learn it properly, Jay? Lift your neck up so we can see. I want to see you doing it properly. That's it.
Boom, 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 boom,
better stop and get flagged.
Yeah.
I don't know if Deep Purple are particularly block us, but yeah, we don't want to get flagged, do we? But they are. Yeah, it's that. But and also he played it with his fingers as well, not with a pick. Yeah, with his two fingers as well. Playing which and I, as I say, this is one of the tracks where I listen to the the individual guitar tracks, and he's yeah flagged. Yes. Any minute now, Jay. Any minute now. What's he doing? Oh, he's tuning up. But what's really interested me about this, as I said earlier, but that in the verses of this, it sounds like, because the organ is just doing it, dang, 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 that when he's singing, you just get this kind of chugging. But actually, Brad, I don't know if you listen to the individual guitar track, and Blackmore's playing these little kind of 3-note triads with the whole thing. He's not doing a chord. He's going ding ding ding. Oh, it's not like that, but it's which what I was amazed by, because it's not something you hear when you listen to it. And when I listened to it, I went back and listened to it. And I can't hear it being played. But those individual tracks, somebody put on. Thank you very much. Somebody put it on YouTube. I was amazed, that he was playing this kind of quite intricate. Well, not intricate. These little 3-note triads in all the way through the verse, all the way through it, and yeah, I was amazed by that. So I think it's sorry, early in the morning, but so I was amazed by that as a thing, because as I said, I don't hear it at all. But for me, what could you say? It is the classic guitar riff of all time. I love the hi-hat and the organ, kind of thing that comes in. I don't tire of this as a song myself, because I think it's, it's such a classic for me that I know some people would kind of skip it because it's kind of over familiar or whatever. But I think that what gives it interest and stuff is not just the riff. It has great singing, has a story, which I think is really cool. I think the guitar solo is a masterpiece. That and all that stuff that he does, that I think is just so good that
See you, Jay. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Jay, good night. Thanks ever so much. Take care. Yeah, those kids will have him up in about 10 minutes. Yes, it's that I kind of, I feel that's what I feel about it, is that there are other parts of this song that give it a lift away from, just, it's not just the riff. There's an organ solo in it. I love the guitar solo in it, that melodic guitar solo that he does, and I think that and I love the groove of it as well. It's got a great groove, and I love what he's doing. And as I say, it can become a cliche, but I'm giving this a 10 because I don't give something 4 because it's a classic song and everybody took it. It's like, hats off to him for writing a sort of a musical phrase that apparently kind of lifted from Beethoven, kind of thing, that kind of 4-note thing he got. But so I'm giving it a 10, and I a 20 out of 10. Because I would never skip it.
Well, for me, Smoke on the Water is probably look, it's arguably one of the most iconic guitar intros ever recorded. Let's be honest. The Great 16 fill on the hi-hat. It's probably one of the first riffs I learned to play on guitar, other than I learned songs, and then I started learning riffs from these super groups that we've been discussing earlier. And obviously, I never really learnt it properly. It was only, through someone else talking about Richie Blackmore, and they showed me the 2-finger thing, which I like that with the 2 fingers. So for me, it just became more apparent that that's how Richie played a lot of double note stuff and double stops and that. And for me, this song, what can I say? Band's so tight. It's catchy, melodic. Great chorus, one of the most iconic guitar solos of all time. I loved how he ends the solo with the ding, 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 like that sort of stabbing on the single note.
Yeah.
Which really, that was a lot of his thing. He focused on single note stuff a lot. It's just greatness in one song. I gave it 10 out of 10.
But I can understand if you didn't because of the over familiarity and the, and everybody playing it. So sorry, Andrew.
But that's not what we do, though, Simon. We're not. Yeah,
that's not what I do.
Look, no. So the fact that it's a classic staple on classic rock doesn't mean anything. The song's a masterpiece. Last week we agreed. We thought that Ziggy Stardust was probably a key moment in the 70s. If you were making a top 10 70s songs, you'd have to put the song in there. I'd argue for the song to be in there because of that riff. And how many guitar players out there are guitarists because of this riff, because of the song? It's how many guitars have been sold because of this song? I love and always love the bass, the way that bass kicks in. I love it. It just melts me. I think it's fantastic. And I'm going to add one other little comment too. I'm glad that you guys have mentioned the arpeggio fingertip gentle style that Blackmore uses, as opposed to the strumming that a lot of guys were using at the time. But you could only get away with playing that and working that style on a Stratocaster. I don't think he could have done that on a Gibson. And so I'd like Brad, maybe, because he's a Gibson nut and clearly got Strats as well. So maybe you could talk about that, Brad, because they are completely different guitars, but that flicking, that fluttering, that two-note stuff that he gets, I think could only work on a Strat.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can back the volume off a bit on a Les Paul and get that sort of thinner sort of tone. You can back it off, but nothing really comes close to a Strat cranked into he was using Marshalls and a Strat. He was pretty much straight in, just playing. So, a Strat has that sort of tonality with the single coils that just really cuts through. So doing those dual note things, just the way he did them. I won't do it again because I don't want us to get flagged. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not. But, yeah, I agree, Andrew. I don't think you can do it on a Les Paul quite as well. I mean, it's possible, but and I have heard guys play it on a Les Paul, but the Strat just really makes the difference. It's iconic Strat riff, in my opinion. You really got to play it. It's like Purple Haze for Jimi Hendrix. You can play it on a Les Paul, but it doesn't sound the same. You got to play it on a Strat. Yeah, and it's 20 out of 10 for me, guys. I just think it's that and gosh, I've got all these songs. A Highway Star, side 1, side 2, pretty good. Not bad, eh?
Not bad at all. No. I think it's and as you say, Andrew, I think it's a really, really good point. How many guitars have been sold? How many people have been inspired by being it? Because it's a comparatively simple riff, that you can learn. You can, even if you're playing it single note you're playing it wrong on the, that intervals thing, it's not that difficult to play, is it? And you know me, that thing about, that simplicity attracts many guitar players. I think, Brad, I've expounded this theory that I have that the explosion of guitars in the late 50s and 60s was, in the UK particularly, was down to skiffle, which was basically, there were huge skiffle. Every guitar player, Page, Beck, all these guys, Clapton, all in skiffle bands when they were at school, because you need an acoustic guitar and a T-chest, and a washboard. And, and the Lonnie Donegan songs were all kind of 2 chords. So you could do them really easily. And that attracts people, if I can think, not only can I get a band together, but I can play a gig with it. You know, I can go out and play to people. I mean, that's attractive, and you know, it puts it within the grasp of many people. Whereas, you know, if the first thing you do is hear, I don't know, Eruption, that's a long way to go, isn't it? That's many hours of study to get to that technical brilliance and achievement. I think in a way that Skiffle doesn't. But and I think that this riff is another thing in that you know, in that canon where, you know, you hear it and you go, I could play that, even if I'm not that great a guitar player. I can do something with that, you know. And then you go, look, I could play Smoke on the Water. So so I think it's a really good point, Andrew, about the number of people who've been, you know, have been hauled into music and hauled into guitar playing because of it. I think it's brilliant. So second track, Lazy, on side 2. First played during the 1971 UK tour. So clearly they playing it live before they recorded it. As we've said, that's kind of what happens, you know, in those days. Pink Floyd did the same thing with Dark Side of the Moon. And it basically, basically based on a Oscar Brown song called Sleepy, which is kind of. No, I couldn't see. I listened to it. I could just go back to it. I could hear more similarity between Smoke on the Water and Astrid Gilberto's Maria Quiet, which has the same riff, but and basically you can tell that it's kind of a jam song. I think Blackmore said it was inspired by Eric Clapton's Stepping Out, and I could definitely hear that as a, you know, that beginning riff is the same. But I can tell that this is a jam song, or it's what I would call a jam song. You know, they play, you know, they come in, have an organ thing at the beginning, hi-hat and guitar interplay with the organ. Yeah, and it's a long time before the singing comes in. You know, it's probably, I don't know, 4 minutes or so. I didn't count it, but so I get the feeling that, you know, they did a jamming thing, and you know, then there was some sort of some kind of some singing at the end a bit. That's damning it with faint praise. I think it's a great song, and again, I think it's got a great groove to it. I love the groove, and I love the you know, the interplay between the different musicians. I love the guitar solo. It's, you know, whammy bar attack again, classic Blackmore stuff, and the guitar and the organ playing the riff together. Organ solo, and that kind of drumming that drives it along, and then you get that key change into the verse comes in, and then even a bit of harmonica as well, just to throw something new into the mix. And then a kind of blues ending. So I'd give this an 8 out of 10. Not a skip, but an 8 out of 10 from me. You know, I love it. But as I say, I think it's very much a kind of jam song and stuff. Brad.
Well, for me, Lazy, I reckon, absolute epic song, and it's one of their greatest examples of their ability as a band. I love the mellow intro on the organ, how it builds up, and it's like intensely heavy, and then it comes back down and gets moody again before the song kick comes in, and with the hi-hats and the tasty little licks from Richie Blackmore. The song starts on a journey, and I really believe the guitar playing on this is absolutely epic, and is heavily influenced by Clapton and Hendrix. And I think you can hear the Clapton influence on this, especially, you know, which I'll go into in a sec. It's blues rock at its finest. Tastiest guitar licks I've ever heard, and arguably some of the best Strat into Marshall tones I've ever heard as well. The interplay between the organ and the guitar it's next level. The drumming and bass lines are thumping along. Ian Pace, without a doubt, is in his own league. And I'm sure, you know, we mentioned that before. Gillan's lyrics and vocals are remarkable, and he sings the absolute crap out of this song. Harmonica playing is great. But for me, this is like Richie at his finest. He's a mystical blues man. Plays his strat like he's like sitting on it. I've tried learning a few licks off this, and it's almost impossible to try and play like Richie Blackmore. It's almost impossible because he had. It's like, and I know sort of guys like Eddie Van Halen and that would say the same thing about Rich and Jimmy. All of them have said he was unique, and obviously there's guys like Yngwie Malmsteen and all that mark him as a massive influence. For me, it's a 20 out of 10. Sorry, Simon.
Oh, no, it's fine.
I think this is like if someone wants to hear the musicality of a band, this would be something I'd show to someone and go, this is what Deep Purple were able to do on a journey of music. You can hear that they did key changes. But for me, this was Richie Blackmore as a mystical blues man.
Yeah. Interesting, yeah.
I'm glad that both of you guys have picked on the Clapton element because that was again something that I heard right from the word go, and again was surprised a few years later to read that there was obviously that connection. It wasn't just my ears playing tricks on me. So I can't add any more than what you guys have added to the about the guitar playing. It's phenomenal. Brad, when you were shooting off to grab another vodka, I said to Simon that I can play some Clapton riffs. I can play some Mick Taylor riffs and some Keith Richards riffs and some Peter Green stuff, but I can't play Richie Blackmore. I'll stick my hand. I can't because there's a different thing going on with this guy. The timing, his sense of timing is beyond all these other guitar players, and one of the closest guys I can think of with that kind of weird timing is the guitarist from Free, Paul Kossoff, who's got that weird kind of rhythm lead time. Yeah, again, just phenomenal. But one other thing before I pass it on to Simon, and I'm glad that you spoke about the journey on the song, because the organ, so it starts off like a normal Hammond, then he's flicking some switch, splitter switch, isn't he? And it's going through a crank Marshall, isn't it? And it's like, oh my gosh. Can I go and buy a Hammond organ from someone? And take a Hammond organ home.
You realise,
Andrew,
the problem is not buying a Hammond organ. The problem is getting the bloody thing home.
Or to gigs.
Yeah. Ordering. Well, yes. Never mind gigs, but putting it in the back of in the boot of your car. Yes. It's not happening, Gov. Could I say? Then you're in a whole world of pain in terms of A, transport, and B, hefting it around.
I'm like Brad. I love it for those elements. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I wouldn't play it though to somebody as an intro to Deep Purple. Because I think that's another level of Deep Purpleism. It's a deep track. But I think the journey aspect, and that seems to be a theme that we're picking up, like guys, lately on some of the records we've been ranking. There's a theme there. There's a story, isn't there? There's a continuity that these cats are doing, which is in itself remarkable. Storytellers.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is probably a perfect time to do phone tips, is it?
Oh,
come on.
Okay, come on. Where's better shake the chains.
Always a producer.
Shake the chains.
Now it's time for Brad's Tech and Tone Tips.
All right.
I love that.
Every time.
Well,
Brilliant.
Richie Blackmore was renowned earlier in the early piece of the first part of or incarnation of Deep Purple. He was using a 335, and that was heavily based around Clapton. And around the Fireball sessions, he started using the Strat, and that Strat was given to him by Eric Clapton. So there's the Clapton connection. So he obviously had the bigger headstock Strat, and part of the reason why obviously I gravitated to a bigger headstock was because of Hendrix and Blackmore.
Tone headstock.
That being said, he was pretty much straight up Strat into a Marshall cranked, and I believe he was using like 200 watt Marshall heads at the time of the recording. So someone might be able to, confirm.
I think it's a bit more complicated than that about what he used in recording. That's the 200 watt heads are what he used live.
Right. Okay. So
in the studio, there's a kind of mixture of that and a Vox AC30. He seems to use a Vox.
I can't really hear a Vox AC30 in the tone though. That's what's surprising me. But
no, not on everything. But
anyway, look, we won't get flagged for this because I'm not going to play the song. But I want to go over the licks that I learned as a kid, and I just refreshed them a little bit today. Going, this would be really cool to show, like some of the licks that Richie Blackmore does. And a disclaimer here, I don't think I can play like Richie Blackmore, but I think this is really cool. And for all the guitar nuts that are watching this that love Deep Purple, take or leave it for what it is. But I'll try and adjust this so you can see the guitar. Okay.
Is that when you were on the phone this afternoon with Deja Voodoo telling him all the insider secrets, was it?
No, it wasn't. All right. So can you guys hear this?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
cool.
Wow.
Well done.
So
wow.
What I'm saying is those licks that he uses, he bends up on the first finger a lot, which is something that I think obviously Clapton used to do a lot of that as well with his bends, like he used to do his vibratos and do off his first finger. But Richie used to take it to the next level and do those like there's bending.
Hold it up there. He'd hold it up there a little bit longer.
Yeah. Okay. So most guitarists do a bend up. So that was something that Richie Blackmore did a lot of, and that it did a lot of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Warren wants to come down and get into your gigs behind you.
He doesn't want to steal your secrets. He just wants to steal your guitar.
So there you go, guys. A little and disclaimer: I don't think I can play like Richie Blackmore, and I wish I could. But that's something that I picked up just from the early days, and today I was just playing along to some of these songs as I was doing my last little final bit, and I was like, I wonder if I remember that bit, and that was that.
So what Blackmore does remarkably well is that he can be ahead of the beat and also hold that vibrato behind the beat and then catch up again and be on time with it. That's remarkable for a guitar player because most of us can't do that. Most of us have trouble keeping in time.
I also mentioned you have to remember that no effects. It's heavy, Strat into a Marshall.
Yeah,
actually one effect. Do you want me to talk about it? Because I did a bit of research about it. Because thanks to Vintage Guitar Magazine. Shout out to them for this. Apparently, he used for recording. As I said, there's a difference between his live rig and his recording rig, and there's some things we can. So basically, in the studio, he had a 100-watt Marshall, 4 12-inch speakers into a cabinet, and also a Vox. But he also had a Hornby Skews treble booster.
Okay.
It was like a tabletop box, not a pedal. And apparently it has a germanium transistor in its circuit to add overdrive boost to a signal, kicking the preamp with coloration. So it is. I mean, I think that makes it sound not particularly like Voxy, if you like. Apparently, he said earlier that he had basically he had the Vox inside a Marshall cab, so it looked like a Marshall. He had the Vox inside it. Which is quite funny.
I actually thought he was always just Marshall, so I didn't realise he used a Vox. So
no, yes, it's a. It basically he kind of used the in some interviews he alludes to using Vox guts hidden inside a Marshall housing, then slaving it to a big Marshall head. In effect, using the 8030 as a preamp to the Marshall.
Okay.
But again, that's the stage. There's also a thing about he used an Iowa reel-to-reel tape recorder as a preamp, but that's later. That's not till 74 apparently. So basically we're talking about doing what you've just described, Brad. It's a Strat into a Marshall, with this Hornby Skews treble booster on it, and that's as you say, it's not a load of effects. There's not a loads of stuff going on, and and clearly the thing about the equipment, and we've alluded to this before, the equipment where you're using to record it on, compressing the two tape and all of that, they go into making the sound what it is, what he is. But so that's hopefully that's and clear, as you said, kind of 70s era big head stock Fender Strats, supposedly not very good era of Fender Strats. Seems to.
Does anyone want to see that slowly, that little lick?
Yeah, I do.
They can go and play with it themselves,
Yeah.
I might as well show you now that I've relearnt it. Okay, so it's so from the turnaround when it goes to the 3 chord. Then it goes.
Wow.
Brad, I noticed you play really close to the fret, don't you? On the fret, or really close or on the fret? Which is interesting.
Maybe. It's not necessarily...
I don't know. Just an observation. It's just really interesting that I noticed that your fingers go pretty much right on the fret. You think, I definitely get away from the frets.
I didn't even really notice that. So
yeah. I think about not just you notice your index finger. It's like on the fret, not really on it. That's an observation. Anyway. So excellent. Thank you very much for that. That was really cool. Playing of any scripts is really cool. So that was great. And
here's something I want all the guitarists in the chat to do. Maybe go and try and learn that little lick out of Lazy. It's right near the intro where it does the turnaround on the 3 chord. Try and learn it and post it somewhere on YouTube and tag us in it. That'd be cool.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Blues. Tag that on Instagram. Yeah. Let's see it.
Yeah. And Andrew, I'd take you up on your point about his timing, Blackmore's timing to play like that. It's phenomenal. Cool.
Yeah, only he could do it.
Show you guys that.
Yeah,
Brad,
great.
It's our pleasure.
Really good. Yeah. Chance to see something up close on its own, it's really cool. Within the context as well, it's brilliant. Thank you for that. That's really cool. So we get on to track 3. Another Purple classic, Space Trucking, which is really great song, written as a pastiche of 50s rock and roll lyrics, but using a science fiction theme. Bearing in mind we just had the moon landings and stuff, and that was very much the hot topic of the age. So that kind of space travel bit. So again, just it's various things, but. Yes, apparently the song was regularly played as a wake-up call by the crew on board the space shuttle program flights, which is quite cool. So it starts off with the organ and bass riff. Da-dun, 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 da-dun. That, which is really cool. It's really strong opening, and then the drums come in, and then we've got the singing over the over a classic riff. And I think this is another one for me, another one, because this is on Made in Japan as well, and they clearly stretch them all out. And for me, that's the other big album from Deep Purple is the Made in Japan, because it just takes all their classic songs, puts them together into a huge heap of brilliance. So and it's got again that the classic really melodic thing. Again, it's got that melody, isn't it? It's got a thing you can sing all the way through. I like the guitar solo, and then obviously drum solo with a bass and some sort of weird noise. I'm not quite sure what that was, but and then you've got the sort of very high singing at the end. So again, for me, it's another Purple classic. Absolute bona fide Purple classic. I'm giving this a 10. Never a skip. I think it's a really exciting, zippy song. Fantastic. Remember, this ended the original album as well. 7 tracks, quite enough. I do think that's an interesting thing about that. And you were discussing it on the the Van Halen show that night. It was 33 minutes, 32 minutes. The Van Halen thing. This kind of thing. I never felt shortchanged at the time, thinking, oh God, there's not 70 minutes of music, 30 minutes, 35, it's fine, absolutely fine. And good morning, Johnny Heartbreaker. Sorry about it. Over to you,
Johnny.
Space Trucking, like the John Lord intro, it's got a lot of weight to it, but when the drums kick in and the band kicks in, it's really awesome. I love the drum fills, really great drum fills in this record. This song in particular, I mean, the whole song has great lyrics and singing. I love the rhythm guitar playing in the verse before the build up. Like the way he does that. I mean, it's Blackmore just playing through for the song. The way he plays that, it's unreal. Obviously, I'm a big Richie Blackmore fan, so tasty guitar solo, nice drum solo section, the little drum solo. It's tasteful, it's not overplayed, it's for the song. The vocals are somewhat off the Richter scale, let's be honest. I mean, it's a bit unhuman to be able to sing that way, the way he does it. It's just the song ends on a really high note, closes the epicness of the record, of the original record. I gave this song a 10 out of 10, and I'll hand it over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me, guys. It's in my top 3 Deep Purple favourite songs. I think it's a masterpiece, just about. I'll touch on the things that you guys have already mentioned. The vocals again. It's like, it reminds me of John Lennon's Twist and Shout vocal, on the first album that they did.
Yeah.
The vocals on this, I don't know where they recorded the song in the scheme of things, but Gillan's singing somewhere else, and you guys have both mentioned that, so it's it's phenomenal, his vocals. And I don't know whether this is the place for us to talk about it, but it's a shame that the personalities of the band got in the way, isn't it? You know, because they could have gone on and, you know, conquered the world. They could have been, you know, up there globally with Led Zeppelin. They were certainly a big touring band, don't get me wrong, but yeah, phenomenal song. 20 out of 10.
Brad score.
There you go. It's worthy of a 20 out of 10. Actually, I do believe that's it's an epic song. The album in its entirety is an epic. Let's be honest, it's a masterpiece.
Well, you mentioned something before when you were describing the drumming, that the drumming just played to the song. And again, you know, Blackmore strumming to the song. Nothing's overplayed, which is pretty interesting, you know, because clearly they were a tight band. And if you go and have a look at the DVDs, not the DVDs, if you go and have a look at the documentaries on YouTube, and there's a shitload of them, you can see them playing, and they're playing live in Germany and the beat club there, and it's like, and they plug in and they just crank, and it's like, wow, you know, phenomenal band, tight band.
Yeah. I wanted to mention, and I don't know whether you did at the top end, Simon. I can't remember whether you did or not. So if I sort of just go over the same thing, just pull me up. But they did spend less time running back and forth to because you did mention that they wouldn't go. It was too much around.
I thought it was all right. We said
so they spent more time focusing on the performance before they go and listen. So they actually were basically just nailing the performance. Rather than worrying about going and listening to see if they perfected it or what it sounded like. They were just worried about the performance. So credit to them. That's a sign of an amazing musician to me, that they can just pull that off. As a band, they just recorded the beds and they started doing the overdubs on top. And there's limited overdubs too. There's not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot, is there? No. But I think it's one of those things where the constraint is what makes it great. You know, you have a constraint. You can't just go outside and listen to it. You've got to, like, as you say, they couldn't do that because they had to go for rooms and over balconies and traipse around, and it was, you know, it's a trek. So what you do is, as you say, you're in a room together, that thing about playing together, and you'll concentrate on the performance of, you know, what you're playing, and never mind what it sounds like. That's somebody else's, you know, and then, you know, when you've got a few, you think you've got it right in the room, you go, that one, right, on to the next one. I think it's a great point. And as I say, my follow-up to that is that the constraints, and so many of the albums we talk about from this era, you know, are great in spite of the constraints. You know, like Sgt. Pepper's is a great album made on 2 4-track tape machines chained together. You know, it's not made on a 24-track kind of thing, you know. So it's constraint, and it doesn't kind of hold. You have to have the creativity to work around those constraints, you know, without any constraints. You know, if you've got 400 tracks, you can just put stuff on, you know. The temptation is just to keep going. But actually, this album wouldn't be improved if you triple track the guitars and all the other stuff, would you? Would it? You know, what makes it a great album is that it's, you know, 5 guys in a room, more or less, playing and doing it together.
It's got a live feel, and that's the uniqueness to the album. You know, it's not a production. It's not an overproduced album, and let's face it. You know, there were a few albums coming through at that time that were, you know, suffering from overproduction. I think when I was looking at one of the documentaries on the first song, the only studio trickery that they had was Gillan's vocals on Highway Star. Other than that, it was just played, recorded.
Yeah.
That's the strength. They just recorded live, mate. They get it done, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. And you don't worry about click tracks and, you know, and all of that kind of perfect, you know. If you listen to the isolated Blackmore tracks, you know, there are mistakes, you know. It's not quite, you know, quite funny. But when you don't hear them in the context of the track, you know, I've never, you know, I don't, and there's, you know, and you hear them on their own, you think, God, why is it not? You know, if you had a mind, you'd go back and fix it. But actually, if you listen to it, you go, well, I can't hear a mistake if I hear it in the song context at all. So if I can't hear it, what's the point of going and fixing it? Kind of just leave it, And clearly, that's what they were thinking. The performance is right, therefore the vibe is right, therefore that's the one.
They record not thinking that you're ever going to hear isolated tracks too.
True, yes.
What works in the context of the music, then that's what they're happy with, And
But it's a really important thing to say to musicians, isn't it? Young musicians, particularly, is that that mistakes and things, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be right for the song. If it sounds right in the song, and it's not glaring kind of clang, then actually it's fine. Get on with the playing, which is the key thing, and get on with the recording, and not worrying about, I played a bit of a bum note there. Yeah, but nobody's ever going to hear. So and clearly that's what they thought. And carry on, So, but yeah, hats off to them for that. I'm just waving this back. I just got this as well. Just if people are. Clearly Warren's mate. He's saying space trucking is about the drums for me in the ascending riff towards the 6-minute mark. Well, Warren, on the album it's only 4 minutes 31, so it's so 2 minutes after it's finished. But it must be on this one. But there are 4 tracks on here from Machine Head. So it's Highway Star, clearly starting Smoke on the Water, Lazy, and Space Trucking. So that's worth checking out if you're into this sort of thing. So that's a great record. That's again another soundtrack to my life. But okay, cool. Are we gonna talk about When a Blind Man Cries?
I didn't measure it. I didn't rank it.
No, it's fine. So it was on the original album. Yeah. I mean, but no, that's fine. We can stick with the original album. That's fine. As I say, I had it as an extra, thinking better to be over prepared than under prepared. But
Blind Man's just a beautiful masterpiece of a soulful,
slow blues,
lyrical song, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Yeah. So. I agree. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic slow blues. Great emotional singing. Great emotional guitar playing as well. Blackmore,
great. It's really a great side
playing its ass off.
It's a great side too, and it's interesting because a lot of the singles that were released in the 70s actually had shit hot side 2s, and it wasn't until the 80s where you just had the one hit wonders that came through where side 2 was generally rubbish.
Remix.
Yeah, or a remix, but phenomenal band. I agree with you guys. I think the Mark II version certainly is one of my favourite versions. I'm a Coverdale fan, don't get me wrong, and I'm glad that Brad mentioned that too, because that's a continuation. That's another journey. That's another part of another great English band, even though it's called Deep Purple. But this album is a classic. It's just phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I'll go back to it, but I'll say it again. That, that they got 7 tracks, 7 tracks on the album, and that was enough. It wasn't, we need to have 11, we need to have 12, we need to fill up a CD, we need to fill it, It's like, we've got 7 really great tracks. That's it. Album, sorted. 33 minutes, quite enough for any person. What they knew, though...
Well, but what they also knew too, Simon, is that the songs that they were producing, they knew they could stretch out to 10-minute jams live. All these songs on here you could stretch out. So, part and parcel of the financial success of these bands was the touring aspect. So if you got 40,000 or 50,000 people into a gig and you could play for 2.5 hours with 12 songs.
Well, indeed, yeah. 7.
And that's again one of the great things about the reissues and Spotify, because if you haven't had access to those, go and check them out, and it's like we could do another 10 shows on those live versions. Made in Japan. Okay. If you guys haven't checked out Made in Japan and you've been doing your homework and studying with us and listening to this album, go and listen to Made in Japan, because I snuck that in yesterday and I was blown away, because I always love the live stuff.
Yeah.
And they're a brilliant live band as well. So, just as you say, Andrew, that that proving ground of playing live, playing to people, and then you bring that to the studio. It's kind of, absolutely, yeah. But as I say, I don't ever think to myself, I wish it was 70 minutes long. I wish it had 13 songs. I don't ever think that. You just go, that's a perfect album. They did the right thing. They had 7 songs. They recorded them all. They're all really good. With Blind Man Cries You May Have 8. But you go, well, that's 35 minutes, enough. And that kind of obsession with having 12 songs or whatever it is, I think it's worth remembering. Brad, when you come to make an album, 8 songs, 10, depending on 8, fine. Really, that's fine. It doesn't have to be 94.
And do you notice also too that Deep Purple fans don't bash each other up because I love David Coverdale and I love
Tommy Bolin.
No one bashes each other out. It's appreciated because of the continuity of the band. So that's another great thing. How important? Before we wrap it up, guys, I want to ask you both this question. How important was John Lord to the band? We've spoken about Richie Blackmore because this is a guitar-based show. Clearly, it's about guitar players for us. But how important is John Lord, or was John Lord?
Equally as important.
Definitely. It's the sound, isn't it? The sound of Blackmore and Lord playing together. That is the sound of Deep Purple. And if that, and the kind of the sort of heaviness comes as much from John Lord and his organ playing through his Marshalls than it does from Blackmore and his Strat. If you've got no distortion, you turn up your Strat loud. To me, it's not heavy metal by a country mile. To me, it's like they're a rock band for sure, but it's not. To me, it's not heavy. Certainly the guitar player isn't.
The signature sound of Deep Purple to me is John Lord and Richie Blackmore with Ian Pace, Roger Glover, and Gillan. But the signature sound is the organ and the guitar. So you take, like, John Lord was like no one's ever played like him before it or after. Like there's phenomenal players out there, but his style was unique.
Yep.
And everything he did, he always put a slight element of funk, like that Hammond funk in there, as well as playing classically, as well as playing bluesy, as well as playing, and the live stuff, you can really hear the interplay between Richie Blackmore and him. They were kind of like this. They were kind of like together.
Yeah.
So equally, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Parallel.
Agreed. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But clearly having a great rhythm section, having a great drummer and a great bass player as well, really contributes to that. And a great singer too. So kind of, they're all great musicians in their own right, and they come together and make something really special as a band. I think that's
humble guys. They don't speak ill of each other. Generally, from the
possibly
research.
with the exception of Mr. Blackmore and Mr. Gillan.
Gillan hasn't said too many hurtful, but Richie's over here.
Richie.
Richie's over here doing what Richie does, so it's okay.
Richie and Ginger Baker in the curmudgeonly.
Yeah. I go. We like you. We like playing with you, but we've finished now, so go over there.
In curmudgeon corner.
Yeah. And we'll see you 7:30 tomorrow on stage for the next gig.
Oh dear. Lovely, yeah. Do you see Johnny Heartbreaker's Greta? Smoke on the Water or Stairway to Heaven?
I saw that. I can't answer that.
Choice.
Yeah.
No, I can't answer that either.
No, I can't. I'm going to have. If you want me to think about it and ponder it, and we'll get back to you on the next show. If you want an answer, I've got to think about that because I'm gonna say Stairway to Heaven. I'm gonna say Stairway to Heaven.
A short head.
Yeah, by a whisker.
Yeah, I think that yeah, I think I would go Stairway as well by a nose, but you know,
Brad?
again, it does a similar thing, doesn't it?
Put me on the spot, Andrew. You put me on the spot.
Be a devil. Be a devil.
Well, I'd say Stairway just by a whisker as well, that's look. Smoke on the Water and Stairway are equally as good as each other for each band. I'll put it that way. But for me, I'm a massive Zeppelin freak as well, and I think Stairway is unique in its own way, and they're on parallels. They're the same but different, if that makes sense. So it's hard. It's like saying which is your favorite Beatles or Doors or
Warren's going to give us our first thumbs down.
Well, apparently,
Quite right.
apparently, from the research I've done, when you start getting thumbs down, that's when you're actually
We're on the up.
making a mark. You're on the up. You've got enemies. You're rubbing people up the wrong way, So you got competition, buddy. Look, we're a family show here, guys, and look, we appreciate all the positivity. We're a positive-based show, and we appreciate all the thumbs up and all the reviews and all the comments and all the watches. And if you want to reward us with a couple of thumbs down, it's don't tell us.
Hey,
Don't tell us.
Don't tell us, Warren.
I thought we agreed, Andrew, to never talk about thumbs down on this program.
That's right.
We don't do thumbs downs on this program.
No,
we're
positive.
Hey,
We're
guys,
positive.
just so you guys know, we do talk a lot, like after the program and stuff like that, and we always are proud of the fact that we try to stay positive and we keep it on track and on topic, and we appreciate, and I know you're saying it in a bit of humour there and stuff like that, but let's just keep all positives and all thumbs ups and share and grow the channel. Hey, I thought our channel was at 450, was it? 450
It's
450.
It's 451. 451.
We've got 49 subscribers to get to 500 by the end of April.
Live news.
Let's do it, guys. Share the channel. Let's grow this beast.
But having said that, though, seriously though, we're, as well as being positive and offering support and encouragement for people in the chat and for ourselves and any guests that we have on, we're also taking our roles seriously as co-hosts when it comes to offering our opinions. So we do talk about that too, and we do put a lot of work into it, and we do the research, and that shows through, and the comments we get, guys, people appreciate that, and our rankings too. We like to have a bit of a joke about that, but our rankings are serious, and that might upset people too. Hey, Mitch, but we try
Mitch, how you doing?
We try and be as honest as we can.
Yeah, without a doubt. We're we take it seriously because as far as we're concerned, it's our point of view. It's not necessarily gospel. It's just what we see. The factual stuff is stuff we research, and generally speaking, it's as close as we can get to the truth. So
try and dig it out, don't we? Yeah.
And I just want to qualify one other point. Most of the guys and girls in the chat have been in bands. So what Simon and Brad and I and Kurt do, it's like a performance. You know, it's like we're going to a gig. You know, we're preparing. We've got this. You know, it's the same. It's that same kind of thing. You know, where, you know, no one turns up to a gig unprepared.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't.
No.
You should. You know.
No.
You're not.
No.
You're not going to last
5 minutes. No.
No, without a doubt.
And nor should you.
No, that's true. God, that's horrible. Yeah. Unprepared. Whoa. That's the thing.
Thanks,
you,
Ellen.
Ellen. That's very kind, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for all the positive comments, the positivity, the energy. It's great. Thank you so much.
And Teresa too. You know, that was a point that I mentioned last night when I was interviewing Michael. A point that Simon drew our attention to a couple of shows ago. You know, we're proud of the fact that we have women in the chat contributing to our shows. You know, so that's great. That was a point, Simon. You know, yeah.
That's because you're a handsome gentleman, Andrew, and you attract all the ladies.
Oh, thank you.
We've got Beefcake Brad, you see. So we're
what?
We've got Beefcake Brad, you see.
What? Who said that?
You see, we've seen your Instagram photos. Me at the gym.
That's right. Modeling. Modeling.
Me. That's me. I've just christened you it.
Hey, sexy bearded Viking wizard and badass Aussie.
Look at that. That's a title. I'm not typing it in. Sexy
G'day
bearded Viking wizard, the badass Aussie. G'day from Tassie. G'day, mate.
As much as you attract the ladies, you attract the bearded men too.
Oh, I know. I'm a beardo, bro. I'm a beardo. Hey, look, we do have fun, but you know, I think that's the key thing here. You know, women love rock and roll too. They love music too, and they can contribute to it, and they're a big part of it. And you know,
Warren, how could you? Simon in the gym and his budgie smuggler should be X-rated. You're damn right. God dear, can't imagine anything more terrifying. Lovely. And Warren, thank you for you. Yeah, I don't mind fighting a cage. Yeah.
No, Brad's a cage.
A small one.
Yeah. Brad's a cage fighter. So don't mess with Brad. He used to perform security for their own band's gigs. Do it. Keith Richards was his model. Get that Les Paul and bang him over the head. They'd be just out flat. They need to be chucked out, mate. They were just out flat.
So Brad, you've got a gig coming up.
I've got a gig this coming Saturday in a country town called Sale in Victoria and Melbourne, Victoria. And it's a theatre show. Cool. 2 long sets. Obviously, the tickets are all just about sold out, which is really good. Awesome. Limited capacity, but it's a 7-piece band. So there's
wizard.
It's going to be fun, and we're looking forward to it. It's my first gig in over 12 months, so I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest with you. But we'll get there. The last rehearsal sounded great, so So it's going to be
fantastic. Brilliant. Yeah. That's lovely to get out and all that staying in your house, getting worth it.
It's going to be nice to turn the Marshall up and play again. Fun, but we'll I might try and do some stuff like on my Instagram, like at the gig or whatever, just for a bit of fun, So might even see if I can set it up and go live side of stage or something. And
Okay, so if that's the case, you guys need to grab this. That's pretty easy. If you want to stay in tune and hook up with Brad when he's at the gig, easy. Instagram, Brad Cook Music.
there's a lot of stuff in there for guitar players. There's a lot of Van Halen, Guns N' Roses, a lot of that stuff. So it's cool. As AC/DC, as well as like some more sort of keyboard orientated stuff too, which is cool too.
The sexy bearded Viking wizard wants to know, what are the 7 pieces?
Okay, so there's 2 singers, male and female front singer, 2 guitar players, keyboard, bass, drums.
Cool.
There's an additional now, so it's actually 8 piece. So there's an additional keyboard player who plays sax as well.
Oh, nice.
One of the songs
you
that
cover a lot of bases with those instruments, can't you?
So one of the songs that I actually sing, an In Excess song called "Never Tear Us Apart." I used to play the saxophone solo on the guitar, and now the saxophone solo's played on the song now, so it feels perfect. It actually sounds like In Excess now. It's great. So yeah, we're looking forward.
It's an Australian anthem.
Yeah, beautiful
song. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah.
All right, guys. It's been a pleasure, Simon.
You're, getting out. Next week, do we have an announcement for next week? Well, Brad, you're gigging, I suppose.
I'll be home on the Sunday, but is it whose pick is it?
It's Mr. Walton's pick.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Who, me? What?
I'm sorry, guys. I've had 3 days of concentrating on others. So can you guys give me 24 hours? I'll flick you guys a message, and if you guys subscribe to Brad's Instagram account, we'll release the album that we're going to do there at some stage tomorrow. If you guys want to keep up with the play, that's probably the best bet. Check Brad out, and once I make a decision and let Simon and Brad know, we'll put it on there. Sorry, guys, I just completely.
No,
I want to give it some thought.
Yeah.
I
mean, if you want to do something else next week, and we'll carry on the week after, or that's fine. No pressure. No pressure.
No. We've got it
in my car, so I can listen to it back and forth. All
we're a weekly show, so that's no problem. Guys, thank you very much, Simon, for giving me an opportunity to listen to this album and reminisce, because that's the first thing I do when I listen to a lot of these albums. It's a pleasure. It puts you back into a pocket in time, and I'm going to keep on harping about that, because music has that transcendent power to do that for us, and I love it for that. So Simon, it's a great album. Underrated. I'm going to say it's an underrated album. You talk about the Beatles being an underrated band. I'm going to say that this album is an underrated album for a lot of reasons, and maybe we can talk about what we mean by underrated albums and underrated songs in another show, because that's probably worth a couple of hours. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll say thank you. So thanks to Deja Voodoo, Warren, take care of yourself, mate. We're rooting for you. And hopefully one day you can get out with that new Strat of yours, and we're looking forward to that, the unboxing of the new Strat. We get to see it. And Sexy Bearded Viking Wizard, the badass Aussie, thanks for joining. Good to see you. It's a great name, isn't it? It's a lot of name to type, though. And Nelson Rodriguez, Mitch Heyman, thanks, Mitch. Hope you're okay, mate. Johnny Heartbreaker as well, thanks, Johnny. Arvin and Ellen and Teresa Maria de Souza, thank you, Teresa. Hobo Rody as well. We had quite a lot of people today. It's great. Yeah. So and Arvin, of course, Mr. Cook, and that's probably got everybody. I hope 7 over 8 as well. Jay, thanks, Jay, for dropping by. Hardwood Steaks as well. Scroll back, find people. Yeah, and Ellen Forrestine as well. Thanks, Ellen, for joining.
And thanks for joining us on the Unskipped today.
Yeah, and Robot Master Switch as well, and Fruitcake Tony. Dropping by as well. I missed him. Sorry, fruitcake. Blimey. So
Cool.
So thank you very much, all, and we'll see you next week for Mystery Album.
Just one more thing before I pass it on to Brad to say a quick goodbye. If you guys feel that you would like to subscribe to the channel or give us a donation, there it is there, PayPal, doncure@extra.co.nz. We'll accept any donation. In the meantime, if you can share our channel with your friends, just grab that link and plaster it on Facebook and say, follow these guys, Simon, Brad and I and Kurt will be very grateful. We'd be very, very grateful. In fact, I forgot to mention, if you even people who subscribe to the channel because of this show still go into the draw to win the Van Halen t-shirt. So that's bad of me. Yeah, so if you subscribe to the channel, get your friends to subscribe to the channel. They can go to the Van Halen store, pick a Van Halen t-shirt of their own design, their own size, and we'll pay for it and get it shipped direct to you. So easy.
Yep.
Do that. Help us get our subs up, and we'd appreciate it. Brad, you've got the last word.
Yeah, well, guys, thanks so much for joining us on a normally unscheduled day. Andrew, thank you for 3 days of amazing programming. So you're
well done.
You know, you've done so thank you, and thank you today and the day before and today. So you're a busy man. Appreciate it. And everyone in the chat that's been responding and giving us all the positive feedback. And yes, do what Andrew said. Subscribe to go in the draw. We don't want anyone to miss out on the opportunity to pick their own T-shirt from the Van Halen store. And you guys are all helping us grow this channel, so thank you so much. We're really, really stoked that we've got the growth we have already. But I did set a bit of a goal to get to the end of April and get to 500. So we're 49 subscribers away. So, it won't take much if everyone just shares it here and there. We don't expect you to drown people with it, but share the channel when you feel up to it. And thank you guys and much love to everyone.
Yes, have a lovely week. Take care, all.